Hey YouTubers, Cyberdyne24 here, and I'm here to do another installment on fixing up the Husqvarna 350 chainsaw. Last video we installed the piston, and it's all firmly attached. Now we're going to install the piston rings, and we're actually then going to install the cylinder itself and also bolt it onto the saw. Another step done. So let's take a look at what we got. As you can see, we have the piston right here. It's all in pretty decent, nice shape. As you can see right here, this is actually a dual piston. A dual ring. So here are the rings right here. And as you can see right here, there are let's see if we can. There are little grooves. There's a little indentation right here that corresponds to a little pin that's actually on the piston itself. Now we want those pins. These little grooves to get in line with the pins themselves. Now in this particular situation, you want to be very, very careful when installing the rings because they are brittle, and you can break them very, very easily. So it's really a necessity to be very gentle and also take your time when installing these rings. There we go. First ring is installed. Fantastic. Once you put new rings on the once you put rings on this, once you've done it before, it actually gets pretty easy. Like, this was a lot easier to do now than my 394, which was a real kind of pain in the butt. Of course, that was the first time I actually ever did any kind of work like that. But as we can see, the rings themselves are actually on the piston, which is very, very good. And now I am going to open up my gasket set right here that comes with the piston cylinder kit. This includes a whole bunch of other gaskets. Some of them I really don't need. You have the actual crankcase. You actually have the case gasket that if you split the actual crankcase itself, you can replace the gasket. Got the exhaust gasket and also the cylinder head gasket. The one we're going to need particularly now is the cylinder head gasket. The exhaust gasket we'll worry about later, when actually I get a chance to order the cylinder for it. Part of me is wondering if this gasket is actually for the yeah, this gasket is actually designed for the little base here, which actually sort of helps keep the crankcase in place, but we don't need to worry about that, because one thing we're going to do automatically, since this is not going to have a gasket on it, is we use a little bit of RTV silicone made by Permatex. And in this particular situation, I'll get a little shop towel, wipe the surface down a little bit. Yeah, sort of clean the kind of crud off there. And then looks like it's actually formed some kind of take a little bit. And just run like a little bead around the actual cylinder itself. You don't want to use a whole lot, just a little bit. And you want to make sure you try not to get it into the actual cylinder itself. I'll just move the piston out of the way. Also, it'd be a good opportunity to swap your gloves out, get a fresh pair. Then once we got the actual gasket sealant down, I'm going to then coat the piston and also the inside of the cylinder with my little oil can mixture, so as to ensure that the actual cylinder and also piston itself gets plenty of lubrication. Do the same, and also do the same thing on the actual piston itself. A little on the top, a little on the sides. Get this thing nice and greased up. And I get a little bit on the rings. Okay, we're good. The one thing I am going to try is the piston, the actual, try the ring clamps again. I tried these out one time doing the rebuilding of the 394, and they didn't actually really work out that well. But I'm going to give it a shot again, see what happens. Now, one thing you always want to do is when you grab your cylinder, actually probably one thing we should actually do before we actually put the cylinder in